Hello and welcome to the Dits on Wrestling podcast, and things are slightly different. Look at us. Look at us.
Are they?
I mean,
Look at literally.
Look at us. Just look at us.
Yes.
We are now a video podcast, if this works.
Yeah, hopefully.
Hopefully. So you may know from we kind of jinxed it 2 weeks ago because we said, oh, by the way, next week is the week. Next week is the week that we drop the video pod. Like, it's not just going to be audio anymore. We're bringing this thing to YouTube. It's going to look fantastic. And then my Mac died.
in delicious irony and massively coincidental fashion, yeah, we joked about it. The rivalry that is Dits and technology and how they are unable to come to an agreement, and it came to a bit of a head last week and resulted in no episode.
Yeah, I'm on a bit of a losing streak.
Yeah, a little bit.
I'm about to pick up an upset victory today. Hopefully.
Hopefully. As of right now.
As of right now, yeah. Things are fine. I was half expecting you to come on, because obviously I've been spending all day prepping this. I was expecting you to come on, and actually that did happen at the start. Like, your video was like that thin and that long and all distorted. I was like, here we go. This is just exactly how this thing's gonna go. But touch wood.
But look at us.
Look at us. But
not up here.
So because we record at a very awkward time. Oh, well, I say it's not really that awkward, but when it comes to the WWE pay-per-views, it's an awkward time because we record on Saturdays, and of course, we can change the day if we really wanted to, but we could. But I like releasing on a Monday, and I also like watching the wrestling that is on the Sunday, so that kind of stops it really. So we're a little bit we're behind, but we're also ahead of the Rumble. It's a strange thing. So when there's no Rumble results in this episode, despite the fact that it is a day past the Rumble. And I would just give you a heads up. You're thinking, why are these guys like glossing over like what could maybe have been one of the best pay-per-views that you've seen in a long time? Could have been one of the worst, but we're not talking about it. Well, we are, but that's at the end of the episode. But that's more of a moan than anything else that is relevant, regardless of the fact that the Rumble has been.
Yeah. So disappointing, that Rumble piece in the end. That was a very good disclaimer. So people are going to be like, cool, are they going to like talk about the Rumble that just happened yesterday? Technically, yeah, we are in this weird space-time continuum of before and after at the same time. It's weird. But the world is weird, and as are we.
Yeah, we're a little bit strange. And you're going to see that a bit more now that you can see us and we can't really hide. Such as, I don't know if anyone's noticed at this point, but Anthony has a Christmas tree up and a frickin' snowman.
Yeah.
It is, is it February now? It's almost February.
Almost, yep. I'm a massive proponent of Christmas. Love it. And I try to keep up our regular Christmas tree up for as long as possible. And when I say for as long as possible, that's just basically until like the wife is eventually like, it's coming down. But yeah, I've managed to keep up this little guy for a while. I usually, if you see my episodes of Disguised Coverage, the podcast that I do on my own, plug. I normally light it up. Little bit of a plug. I normally light it up. And then, the little snowman up there, the wife has been trying to get him into a box and put him away with the Christmas decorations, but I've managed to salvage him and keep him out and go in. Or maybe he's keeping himself out, and it's kind of like an Annabelle situation. He just won't allow himself to be put away.
Well, you could just say, like it's part of the stream background, and you need it. The fans want it.
I should say, like, the only reason people are tuning into the DOWPOD now is for the Christmas aesthetics, so I have to leave it.
I mean, they're not tuning in for me. Maybe a little bit.
I mean, a lot of it for me. I mean,
it's very one-sided.
It's only going to grow from here. Yeah, it's sad.
Oh yeah, it's going to grow now. Yeah, because people are realizing how rats I am and how devilishly handsome you are. So,
I mean, the cream rises to the top, and I'm the cream.
Yeah, and I'm the
rising,
the honking like bit of coffee that hasn't quite dissolved into the hot water. Or the lump of sugar that hasn't morphed into it.
the sugar that's in the sugar when like you scoop it, but it's like hardened and kind of crystallized a little because it got like a little wet from before, and it's sort of just like a clump, and you just like scoop around it.
That's me. A
Yeah.
clump of sugar.
But you know what? But when you add it with the cream, it's a delicious
Oh, it's
concoction,
sweet.
and thus here we are. Yeah,
It's too sweet.
it's the two. Oh, I wish you had made that pun on purpose as a Bullet Club / new NWO reference there.
Would I do that?
Probably
Would I do
not. I don't think you know what wrestling is, so you probably.
Is this wrestling pun?
I don't think so. This is financial analytics pod, right?
We did threaten that was going to be a thing. We did, and it could be.
That's
Let's talk GameStop. Let's talk GameStop.
Well, yeah, that's why you have that famous French mathematician behind you, Phineas Ballor. That picture, famous for his financial analytics. We could talk GameStop stuff. That works. We like video games,
like video games,
and that also was financial stuff. But I don't think people.
No, I don't think people are here for that.
Probably not.
We are, but they're
Maybe.
not. So, as we have changed up the formula to the show once, because it should be twice, but obviously I lost to technology last week. Yeah, we're trying to keep to an hour. Awesome. I'll be curious to see if we can do it this week. We went over. I can't remember how far we went past that. I think it was like 14 minutes.
Yeah, it was like 17, 18.
That's not bad for us. We tangent. Mm-hmm. I mean, half of that podcast was us talking about Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. So,
my boy.
Maybe not today, but I don't know. It might creep back in now that you've mentioned it, and I mentioned it. It might creep back in, and so we're going to keep the topics short and sweet as much as we can, and try and hit that hour mark.
Take my body back to my father, Harry.
The tangents. We love a tangent. We do love a tangent. And we kick things off on that first iteration of the new format with Dits' question of the week. And I that was going to be a running theme, but then I thought, you know what? Let's give Anthony a question as well. So over to you, Anthony. What's your question of the week for me?
Thank you for being so gracious as to allow me this question. Appreciate you. You're gracious, Captain. But it also makes you weak, which is why I will overthrow you violently. My question is related to your question of the week from the initial cast-off episode, the launch episode of this new style. So you asked me, would WWE work COVID-19 into a regular storyline because of them kind of breaking the fourth wall a bit with it and announcing that Drew McIntyre had COVID, and that led to some discussion off air, on air, about the state of Monday Night Raw and the quality of it and those things. And we also spoke later in that episode about how SmackDown is the A show and Raw, even though it's kind of like the flagship, is no longer the best show on the brand. And so my question for you is, you can make one thing, you can make one move. It could be a match decision, it could be a storyline, it could be something broader and holistic and casting more of a wide net. But what is the top thing or the number one thing you would do with Monday Night Raw in order to elevate it back to A show status?
Ooh, that's a question. There's a lot.
My answer would be take the belt off Drew McIntyre because he's terrible.
Yeah, okay. I thought you was going to give me a serious answer there, but then you just hit me with.
No, I do have one, but I'll keep it to myself.
There's a lot of answers to that question. I know it doesn't seem like it would be that big of a fix, but I honestly think it would be. If you, I know why they have that extra hour of Raw. I know why. Money.
Oh.
If they just took that 1 hour away and went back to 2 hours, there wouldn't be any need for filler anymore. And I feel that that's what a lot of Raw is. So much filler. And over the last 2 or 3 weeks with the matches that I've been watching, a lot. Remember when, I think it was last year, remember when you'd have a match start and then they'd go to commercial break, or they'd advertise it as 2 out of 3 falls. Every match was 2 out of 3 falls, so you could fit a commercial break in the middle so it wasn't breaking up the action. Mm-hmm. I feel like they're kind of going back to that again, which is really frustrating. Mm-hmm. They haven't really made that known and gone, that's what we're doing, but it feels like that's the kind of like path they're taking.
Yeah, the way they're steering. Yeah,
it's not good. Having or let's have these guys fight each other. You get like, you know, pumped about seeing it, and then go, no, we're gonna throw an interference in there, restart the match, tag match. Happens all the time. In fact, SmackDown was guilty of it this week, but it kind of fed into the Rumble, so it was more forgivable. But I think if you shave that hour off, you lose that filler, because there is so much of it, and these 8-minute matches that they feel they have to throw together. They go, there's 3 hours to fill. Let's throw a 2-minute match out there that means absolutely nothing. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with the occasional 2-minute match, because, you know, not all matches are going to go 20 minutes, and not all matches are going to be 5-star classics. But to have so many 2, 3, 4-minute matches that mean nothing in the grand scheme of things, or are repeats from a week ago, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, always involving the same people in a just constant churn, it's frustrating to watch. So I honestly think if you shave that hour, it'll make a big difference. Look at AEW, look at NXT, look at SmackDown, all 2 hours.
2 hours.
And they are all better shows than Raw. But that's just one of many reasons why, and fixes that would elevate Raw up a little bit more.
I like that. That's a good answer. There are I think that is. I think that's when you hit on it, that there's so many like potential answers or so many things, and that's why I wanted to ask you that question, because it seems like there's so many things that could be done to just like fix this or make this better. And that's a really good one, because I think with all the content WWE puts out, at a certain point, you kind of spread yourself too thin and you have to cover so much. That's a really good one. I second that notion. Mine personally, I was torn between two, just like a generic overall overarching thing for it. In addition to just everything with WWE, is just long-term booking, better direction and storyline for the show or the cast as a whole, not just like 1 or 2 people. But my main one right now, and I hit on it a little bit last week, I feel like Drew McIntyre and the belt should feel more prestigious, and it should be put in a better light. I feel we hit on it a little, and I hate to drive it home again, but going into the Rumble, now we've got Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens, who had a marvelous promo with one another on SmackDown this week. Beautiful. Roman is in this head of the table storyline, and he and Owens have had a good rivalry. We saw this storyline lift up Jey Uso. Heyman's involved. It's elevating Owens a little bit, and the matches have been good. The promos have been good. Even to see what the Adam Pearce swerve has been good. And then on the other side, we've got Drew McIntyre and Goldberg. Like, why? I don't care. And see, because this is the point too. We're in the day and age with what WWE likes to do, and social media and behind the scenes things and all that stuff, right? Everyone knows that Goldberg is like a 50-year-old man who doesn't really wrestle, which is fine. He cannot give your prime mid-30s, 6'5" Scottish psychopath a run for his money. A 50-something-year-old man should not be able to hang with your champion, and that's what it's being billed as, let alone he's a part-timer. You look at the profile of the feud, and Roman is elevating the Universal title, and I think that's a large cog and piece of why SmackDown has become that A show. And I said it on the episode 2 weeks ago, where I think, granted, your show has to be good holistically, but what your main title is and what your main event scene is tells a lot about where your brand is or where your show is. And I think Drew McIntyre is good. I make jokes all the time about how he sucks, but that's just because you like him. But Drew McIntyre is sweet, and he's got a great look. He's got an awesome finisher, and he's got a really cool story for how he came to be champion and how he grinded. I'm not talking his character. I'm talking like real life of how he left and came back and everything he did for himself. You have such potential. Like, I feel like Drew McIntyre should be a larger than life person. He checks all the boxes for what like Vince McMahon wants in a champion and what a champion should be. And he's fighting friggin' Goldberg at one of your main pay-per-views, while the guy on the other show has this captivating, personal, physical, mental, emotional feud with Kevin Owens. And then your other guy is over here fighting, a guy who's like retired
with no build either.
with no build.
He just
No,
showed
with
up.
no with no
Legend
build
night.
Goldberg.
Here he is, Goldberg.
And see, that's part of it too, because again, like the wrestling fans have always been like, what do you call them, smarks or whatever you want to go through, and they always like to deep dive into the dirt sheets and figure out what things are going on. And it's also disrespectful to your fan base who know that you're just going for a money grab to bring Goldberg back. And so it literally, there's so many things wrong with having a feud like that. And when you have your champion, everything is high profile and things have to hit. And you stated it. There's a multitude of things that can be done to raise up Raw and make it the A show that it should be as the original flagship show and everything. But for me, yeah, that the belt and the champion has to be elevated more than he is. And yeah, it's a shame. God, it's so frustrating.
Yeah.
So frustrating. I feel bad for Drew.
And that's where you can make the SmackDown comparison as well, because how many people in the last... I know they do it in Rumble season. They give certain superstars pushes because then you go, well, he could potentially win. He could potentially win. She could potentially win. She could potentially win. But on SmackDown, you've had Shinsuke Nakamura. Like, he is amazing. We know that. But we haven't really seen that for a long time. But in that gauntlet match, amazing. Fantastic. It seems gauntlet matches are the go-to to give somebody, like,
I know,
a
right?
little bit of a rub. Cesaro has been killing it over the last 3 or 4 weeks. As you said, while she was just saying there, Jey Uso, over the last couple of months, has been killing it. Like, there's so many guys who are, like, fringe players, but are part of the active roster, who have been a part of the active roster for such a long time, that are getting that shine now. And then on Raw, you have guys like Goldberg coming in. You have Ric Flair hanging around in the background. It's just...
Why?
Why? Exactly. Why? SmackDown's working for a reason. That's one of the reasons.
Big time. And especially going into, like, you're going into the Rumble, which basically sells itself. Like, the Rumble is unique and awesome. Everybody knows the importance of it and the results and what it means, whether you're a new fan or a lapsed fan or an old fan, anything like that. Everybody knows about the Royal Rumble and what it is. You don't need to have Goldberg at the Rumble. If you want to have Goldberg, which I'm against, put him at, like, I don't know, whatever throwaway pay-per-view you have in, like, September or something that you're afraid, like, no one's going to watch, and then throw him on that. Like, there's no reason to have somebody like that in such a high-profile match. And again, when you juxtapose it with SmackDown, it's just so frustrating. You're over there in SmackDown just having, again, we talked about a couple weeks ago, Cesaro and Daniel Bryan had that awesome match, and it was just like, whatever, here's a really good match. And then they tied it in with some more storyline things the past couple weeks with Ziggler and different things with the Rumble, and it connects, and it seems like there's cohesion. And then Raw just doesn't seem to have that as much. And yeah, I think there's I don't think there is just one thing you could do to fix it. I think yours would be the biggest or holistic fix. I also think better long-term booking would serve that as well. But for me, like, an easier one that doesn't take as much legwork and mental exhaustion, let's just book Drew McIntyre better. Let's give him some better feuds. Let's have him be more high profile. Again, with all due respect to the Randy Orton, Bray Wyatt, Alexa angle, which is phenomenal, I don't think any storyline should be better than your champion storyline on a brand.
That's fair.
If you want it to be the thing. Like, and it's fine to have some fluctuation. Like, it's cool every now and again to know, like, well, this feud for the Intercontinental title was so great, or this tag match was so great that it, like, overtook some things. Because you'll have that from time to time. Guys are going to perform. Matches are going to be great. Some storylines just click and they're beautiful. But I feel like, again, to compare to SmackDown, Roman's storyline has been the thing, and it's been great since he came back. Drew has just been like, and that belt, even when it wasn't Drew, that belt has just been kind of like,
Yeah. I mean, well, you got to look in between Drew's 2 reigns. You had Randy Orton hold that belt for, what, 2 or 3 weeks?
Again, why? Like, why?
And then only to lose that belt on Raw back to Drew. It was...
Why?
And then that goes with what you were saying. Was there originally long-term booking planned for that, and then they cancelled it and gave up on it? I
I
don't.
thought that was so weird.
Yeah,
When he lost it, I was like, "Oh, that sucks." And it made me think like, "Okay, I guess they don't have faith in Drew." Like, so they put it back on Randy because they're like, "Okay, we know what he can do with it." And then yeah, he lost right away, and I was just like, "What? Was this on purpose? Like, what? What is the? I don't get it, man.
it's
I don't get it.
it's a painful
It's
watch. It
frustrating."
is a painful watch because I watched Raw yesterday. Was it yesterday? What day? I don't even know what day we're on. Saturday. Yes, yeah, it was yesterday. I watched Raw, and yeah, it was a slog. It was a slog.
Yeah, it was
There are
not.
good moments, and we're gonna touch on one such good moment
Hmm.
that is a recurring theme every single week in just a
Yes.
moment. But yeah, it's a slog. It is
Yeah, it's
a
not good.
slog. At least Goldberg was only on screen for about 3 or 4 minutes. Silver linings.
Silver linings, the positives. Look at us.
Look at us. But I mean, I would rather if you're going to bring legends back, especially around this season, and I get that you want WrestleMania to kind of be, boo, pizzazz, jazz hands. Let's bring legends back. Cena, fine. Rock, fine. Taker, no, past it. Goldberg, no, past it.
But also, with even if you do that, the legend in and of itself is the draw. So you shouldn't need that involved in a match with your title or any title. Like, you don't need Goldberg to fight for the belt, because if you need Goldberg and the belt in the same match, that means one of two things. That means one, either Goldberg isn't strong enough to draw on his own, and if that's the case, you shouldn't bring him back, or two, your belt is worthless, and you're afraid your belt isn't high profile enough to be the headliner for a show. And that is a bigger problem, because anytime your belt is on the line and anytime the guy who has the belt is doing anything, it should matter. So if you feel like you need to add extra oomph to your title picture, you have a problem. Like, and that's a larger thing. Like, I don't think we need. You want Goldberg to come back, cool. Have him fight like Dolph Ziggler for whatever. Like, that's it. You don't need a belt involved. You don't need him to be in the title match, because there's. Oh, it's just so
Or just
frustrating.
have him in the Rumble. But a surprise appearance in the Rumble, get him to come in, spear 4 or 5 guys, and then somebody kicks him over the top rope. Done.
Yep. And then he's mad at that person, and they fight at Mania.
Yeah, something so simple, something like that. And it doesn't need to be. He doesn't need to be in the title picture. Didn't need to be in the title picture when he took the belt from Bray. Didn't need to be in the title picture when he took the belt from Kevin Owens. The Brock Lesnar. I actually spoke to somebody on Twitter briefly actually about this, and if we're going off on tangents as we always do, but this is very topical. Um, we it was At what point did you stop liking Goldberg? I think was the question, and I literally just replied Kevin Owens, because when he first came back and he had the Brock feud, I loved it. It was fantastic. Like that Survivor Series moment where he absolutely squashed Brock. Brock sold the hell out of it. It was great. I loved it because nobody had made Brock look that stupid and weak in years. It was great. And then we had Kevin Owens, and that's when things went. He kind of redeemed himself at WrestleMania against Brock when Brock beat him. That was actually a decent match for what it was, but that was at the expense of Kevin Owens. So it's sad. It's sad. And do you have him? Do you have him do the hat trick of 3 guys who have held a world title and could very well elevate that world title to that prestige that you were talking about, and then just have a part-timer come in for his 2-month payday? It's frustrating to watch. It is very, very frustrating. I think it's insulting actually to fans as well.
Yeah. It just doesn't make. I try to compare it to like what it would be like if when I was watching wrestling growing up, when it was so much better and great. And that would be like if at WrestleMania, like Bret Hart was the champion and they had him fight like Pat Patterson. I'd be like, what? Who the hell is this guy? Like, well, this like 50-something-year-old dude is supposed to beat Bret Hart? Like, what? Or like even because Drew is more similar to Hogan than he is to Bret. That'd be like if Hulk Hogan fought, I don't know, Bob Backlund. Actually, no, because Backlund was still even like, like if if he fought like George the Animal Steel or someone even older, like you would just be like, that doesn't make any sense. This guy from the 70s is supposed to give Hulk Hogan a run for his money. This guy from the 70s is supposed to beat Hulk Hogan. That doesn't make any sense. And you just wouldn't have that. Like you would have legends come back or people come back, but they'd be like on the commentary desk or they'd accompany someone to the ring. Or again, they'd be involved in some kind of match that was more like, hey, this is cool. Here's your nostalgia. But the fact that it's just part of something bigger, and yeah, that Raw is so guilty of that. My answer for what was the question when you started to hate Goldberg or started to be over Goldberg? Mine is when he kicked Bret Hart in the head for real and ruined his whole career. But I digress. Yeah, the Kevin Owens one as well. Owens was sweet and riding hot, and as soon as Goldberg showed up, I was just like, oh no. And again, just why that I feel myself asking that more and more. I mean, I ask myself that with WWE a lot, but even more so with main things that are up in the front, because nobody's going to hit on anything, and that goes for AEW, that goes for NXT. Every tiny once in a while that happens in New Japan, but not really, because pretty much everything they do is amazing and golden, and I will fight anyone physically if they disagree. But no one hits on everything. It's very possible, and it happens all the time, that you're just going to miss on things. But you can't miss that big and that often when it comes to your main thing. That's like the thing to focus on. And I feel like Drew and that title as a whole, they've missed on things. And again, which is one of the reasons I feel bad that Drew's title run has been in front of no fans. And I also feel bad that he just doesn't have like something to hang his hat on. Like that belt doesn't have any feud or person to hang its hat on in a very long time. At least the Universal title now, this Roman Reigns one has been so good that we can be like, well, Roman, the tribal chief, boom, that's it. That's all we need to say. Yeah. And he's elevated that belt, and that belt has also elevated him and the character and everything. It just works. And when you juxtapose it with what's going on with Raw, yeah, it's frustrating just as a fan. Like you mentioned it, like it is the original flagship show. I remember when Raw debuted, and I was like a tiny kid, and I didn't know what was going on, and it was in Hammerstein, and it would be weekly from New York City, and just when I finally got to go to Hammerstein, like as an adult or / young, I don't consider myself a man, but / young adult, being able to go there, and I was like, oh my God, this is the building where like Raw was from different times, and it just. So many cool moments. Like Raw should still be that thing. Not that I don't love SmackDown, but Raw is Raw, and it just sucks in a lot of ways, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, but that does lead us in to a perfectly timed segue to something that does work on Raw
very well.
It's kind of an Alexa Bliss appreciation segment, because we've discussed it on this pod numerous times, and for good reason. She's remarkable. Like the things she can do character-wise and promo-wise. I've always been a big fan of her promos anyway, but since she's hooked up with Bray, the whole Fiend thing, she's embraced the fun house, she's got Alexa's Playground, she's running this feud between Bray and Randy, but she's the MVP of it. Like she's the one in the middle, but she's the MVP. That's a testament to how good she is at what she does. And what we've been seeing on Raw in the last couple of weeks has been enjoyable. And I have seen, as is always the case, some negativity towards what's going on. People are like, why are we not getting, fully fleshed out matches? And you kind of go, well, they're doing something different. Like the whole costume changes and stuff. I thought it was great when she was against Asuka for the women's title, and that was something people picked up on. They went, this is a women's title match, and you're really going to do that? Get her on a rocking horse in the middle of the ring? I was like, yeah, but that's her character. That feeds into the wider story that's going on. Like, don't act like the women's title and Asuka's reign has been so fantastic that this is a hit against it, because it has not been. Like, if anything, this was a nice distraction from that negative run that she's had. But the rocking horse thing, amazing. When she went back to the old ring gear that she had before she started playing around with Fiend, great. And then her version of the da-dun, da-dun, bah, all that stuff when all the lights go out, great. That's great as well. Like, I love it. I'm it's one of my favorite things in wrestling at the moment. It really is. And so is that when the Fiend was involved directly, that was also some of my favorite stuff as well. Randy's had an amazing 24 months in WWE. Like he really, I mean, you know me, I'm a big fan of Randy Orton. You not so much. But
Yeah.
I think he's played his part very, very well in this. I think the Fiend has, but Alexa by far MVP.
This past Monday, when she's fighting Asuka, and then the lights go out, and they come back, yeah, and she's in her old ring gear, and she's looking lost and confused, and she's crying, and she's like hysterical, and she doesn't know what's going on. And then they go out again, and then she's in the corner, and she's upside down, and there's just, I don't think, to your point, I don't think it did any disservice to the belt. I love how even Asuka was like, yo, what the hell is going on? Like, where am I? And this is the type of cool thing. Not everything has to be the same in order to make things work. I think sometimes, even if it fails, doing something that's like cool or not even cool, just doing something that's different, like you said, can be cool, can be fun in and of itself. And I haven't seen anything like that.
No.
Like and what's also cool is you wouldn't be able to do these spots if there was no COVID because you can't pull them off in front of a live crowd. So now they're trying to do things like use the pre-taping and the sound and the lack of a live crowd. They're trying to use that to their advantage in what they're doing. And I like it. I think it works. And all of it is due to partially to Randy Orton. He's phenomenal. I think his character work is great.
Yeah.
His just in-ring style, the old Randy Borton joke, he bores me. But I think the RKO is awesome. And I think he's a talented guy. He's just not for me. But his as a character and as an actor and as a promo, he's phenomenal in the ring. Just the way he moves, the way his body movements, his eyes, his gaze, everything he does, whether he's a face, whether he's a heel, it locks you in everything that he does. And he makes Randy Orton, what I like about Randy Orton is when he's on, I don't think oh, I'm watching something that's scripted. I feel like I'm watching a TV show and there's just a really good actor out there who's nailing his character.
Yeah.
And that's awesome because that's what wrestling should do. It should suspend your disbelief just as you would when you're watching a movie. Because when someone watches The Avengers, no one's like, well, Robert Downey Jr. is not really flying all over the world and in space. Your disbelief is suspended. And the same thing should happen with good wrestling. Randy Orton can do that. And Alexa is also doing that. You and I were talking off air, and we've said it before. She is a 10 out of 10 promo. She is phenomenal on the mic. She's phenomenal as a character. She has such great charisma and facial expressions and mastery and ownership of timing and reading the room and her opponent and the crowd. She's just so great. And I feel that if she was a better wrestler, again, not that she's bad, but on a scale of 1 to 10, if she's as a wrestler, I feel like she's a 6, 6.5, maybe a 7 at some point. But she's not the best. And she gets a lot of hate for that because she's had the belt so many times. She gets so many high-profile feuds. And in that time, you've had Sasha and Becky and Bayley and all these other more indie-type darlings who fans can easily be like, well, they should put the belt on Sasha. She's the best. Or I can't believe Becky hasn't gotten the title. She's great. And then, what's with Bayley? These storylines are terrible, but Alexa gets all this. And then all that momentum starts to gain, and people like to just jump on that bandwagon and just crap all over someone just because they can. And I think it's really done a disservice to her because, again, she's not the best wrestler, but she is not terrible in the ring. No. She is above average in the ring. And when you combine that with how great of a promo she is, again, she's pulling out some really creepy, scary character work here. And even before she was doing the Bray Wyatt thing and the Fiend and that whole angle, she's had really great promos and great moments. And yeah, she's good on the mic. And it's awesome that she has gotten this angle. You and I both, we talked about it, how excited we were because you and I both love Bray Wyatt. We love the Fiend. You did a fantastic Fiend fantasy booking this past summer when we did our SmackDown vs. Raw series. That was phenomenal. And So we were just like super pumped when we saw what happened with Alexa and Bray because it was like, oh my god, like are they gonna put them together? This might be like the coolest thing. And so maybe we're like a bit biased because we love Alexa and we love the Fiend. The fact that they put those two things together, we're like, oh my god, this is amazing. But she has week in and week out, whether it's the Firefly Funhouse promos or actual in-ring stuff, I think she's nailing it. And to each his own. I recognize everything isn't for everyone, but I think if you're complaining about this storyline or what's going on, you're really just like miserable. You just want to find something to be upset about because I am by no like means a WWE fan. I still keep up with it and I still watch it, but I don't think very highly of it and I don't think much of it. But this storyline and everything that's going on is awesome. And you know what I think? If not for the head of the table storyline with Roman, this would be talked about so much more because it's the best thing WWE has going, except for the Roman Reigns thing.
Yeah, yeah, like you said, like everything is subjective, and not everybody's gonna like it. But when you've been crying out for WWE to do something a little bit different for so long, and it always happens. They do something fresh, and they go, "Why the fuck are they doing that?"
Well, this sucks. This isn't like what they should be doing, but you wanted them to do something different, and they
you
are.
Want them to be. This is the best one. You want them to be edgy. A lot of people want WWE to go back to the Attitude Era. I personally don't. Back then, the Attitude Era, fantastic. Looking at the Attitude Era through these eyes now,
not so much sometimes.
Not so much. Like, don't get me wrong, there are some incredible moments and some of the best in wrestling ever. But if you were to watch Raw and SmackDown like every single week during that Attitude Era, a lot of it you'd be like, but people want that edge.
Wild stuff.
People want that edge back. And Randy Orton, I know it was a dummy, but Randy Orton set fire to Bray Wyatt. How much edgy do you want to get?
And then he got a fireball.
Being.
Yeah. And then he got a fireball shot in his face. And then he shows back up and he RKO's a woman. Like that, what? Oh, well, this sucks or this is. You wanted edgy. You wanted different. You didn't want cookie cutter, colorful John Cena. You wanted, we want edge. We want realism. We want something that's like different and something. We don't want the same old thing every week. And then they do something that's a little outside the box. And then people will still just find a way to complain about anything. And even I was watching that match on Monday. I thought Alexa was going to win the title because they were putting her up against Asuka for the second time. I was like, oh, she's got to win. And then Randy came out, and I was like, no, they're not going to have him RKO her. Like, are they? It's just going to end with, like, him watching her, right? And then she turns around and bang. And I was like, oh. Like, I don't have any problems with it. I don't. And I really, again, it's all subjective and to each his own. And I'm never going to tell someone if they're like, well, I didn't like it. I'm never going to be like, well, you're wrong or you're this. But if you're upset at this storyline, not even if you don't like it, but even if you don't like it, I'd still be like, why? But if you have a problem with it, you're nitpicking it because, oh, this is stupid or Alexa or anything with it. Like, you're really, dude, like, what would make you happy?
Yeah.
Because this is, I don't get that. I don't get the hate or the displeasure that I've seen. Because there's people that are really, like, all over it. Like, this sucks. This is so stupid. I can't believe they do that to Asuka. I can't believe they do that to the women's title. I can't believe, like, are we supposed to believe that? Where's the Fiend? How come Alexa's on again? Why are the... It's just like, shut up. It's so good.
Yeah. Just embrace it. That's all you got to do. Just embrace it.
It's
something different. You wanted different. You have different.
She's shooting fireballs, my man. Fireballs.
Setting people on fire. There's fireballs getting thrown around. There's sunburnt Randy Orton's going around RKOing women. Like, what?
I didn't like that. I thought I thought that was kind of. I was like, you got hit with a fireball, but your reaction is just like you're a little red.
I would have preferred if they kept the burn mask on that he had on the previous week when he was doing his promo at the start of Raw. That would have made a little bit more sense. But I guess they were going for the striking image. When seeing like Rand, yeah, exactly, yeah. Because if he popped up with the mask, you go, "Oh, that's cool. It's Randy Orton's here." But I think they're going for the shock value, and it shocked in the wrong way.
It had to have been better. That was like when Kane finally took his mask off, and it was just like, oh, he's just got like marker on his face.
It was like if I was sat downstairs and I was doing some coloring with the kids, and they got a red felt tip pen and started just scribbling on my face. It was like that, and then smudged it in. That's what it was like.
It was not good. I was not impressed with that. It just looked like he fell asleep at the beach a little, like, and then put a whole bunch of aloe and moisturizer on it, and it's like it's clearing up, but like it might hurt a little bit, but it didn't look like, yo, you just got fire shot in your face a couple weeks ago. Like, I feel like it should be a lot worse.
Yeah. Randy, do you mind just dunking your face in that big bowl of baked beans before you head out? That'd be great.
Yeah. There's a little
Don't
bit
wipe
of
it. Don't
sauce
wipe it
left
off. Just let it stay.
No. Just dab it a little bit and then let it dry, because we need you to go out on camera and sell that you've been burned. Please and thank you.
But that doesn't take away from how good the segment was, though. But it was still like, oh, he has sunburn, not severe burns, like a fireball would, probably cause.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, one would think.
It's just fire.
But again, but all that went away as soon as Alexa turned around and she got RKO'd, and then I was like, oh.
And then it just ended. I like that as well, because Raw seems that... Yes. Raw, again, a very rare thing that they do well. They have very just abrupt, boom, end. RKO, had about 5 seconds of Randy reaction, done.
Yep. Credits over. And I was like, what? I was thinking the same thing. I was like, no, it's not going to end like... And as I was saying that, I couldn't even finish my sentence, and then it ended, and I was like, oh.
And even like, not the week before, maybe 2 weeks before, we had that cliffhanger where he was stood there with the match. And funny old thing, every one of these things is because it's The Fiend, Randy, Alexa, ending Raw. And I think they have. I think that's 3 Raws in a row where they finished the show.
Yeah, you had the match dangling, and then after that was the Fireball week.
Yeah.
And then I don't remember what was after that. And then this week it was, the RKO to Alexa.
Says a lot. Says a lot. And it goes back to what you said about Drew should be in the top storyline, and he should be the one at the end of Raw. Whether he's down, whether he's up, whether he's being triumphant, whether he's in defeat, like, he should be the one at the end of the show. But it's not. It's Randy. It's Alexa. It's that storyline.
Yeah.
Point proven.
Yeah, and that's okay from time to time, especially we have something that great. But it's the fact that is so great, and then Drew's... It's not like, oh, well, Drew is up there, but this storyline is just so great that it's just a little more. No, it's like, this storyline is awesome, and Drew is way down here below the camera where you can't even see how far my hand is gone. That's where that is.
It's a shame.
And it's disappointing.
It's a shame, because you know how much I hate Drew, so it is a shame for me to see him.
I mean, I think he sucks, but whatever.
He's just trying to hurt my feelings now. That's what you do. He's trying to hurt my feelings. Ah!
Look at us.
Look at us.
Not
up in here. Okay, so just so people know, this is literally a test run. I still don't know to this moment right now in recording. I know it's still recording because I've been watching it throughout and just keep checking.
I know, I keep seeing you peek at it.
It's working. I don't know if this is going to be out on, today, Monday. So it could still be audio, or it could be the terrible Skype recording that Anthony has as a backup. So we don't know yet. But so this is a test run. But next week we'll have all the memes, we'll have all the transitions, we'll make it all look nice and jazz hands. That's my new thing. Make it look jazz hands. Not Chef's Kiss. Chef's Kiss is gone. Make it look jazz hands. That's my thing now.
I like it. Classy.
Annoyingly, you can't. Well, maybe you can. Maybe you can because you've watched AEW more than me. But Jazz Hands isn't a good segue to AEW in any way, is it?
Well, you have Jazz Hands, and then the wrestlers in AEW have hands, so that works.
Did Jazz ever wrestle in AEW? Has she made any appearances there?
Oh, no. Oh,
I
think she was at All Out. When I was there, I think she might have been at All Out. I don't remember.
Okay, well, that's the segue we're going with.
I thought of that. Or there's also the basketball team in the NBA, the Utah Jazz, and I was like, has AEW ever been to Utah? That's the first thing I was thinking of.
It's a terrible segue. And we usually,
which is rare. Because I was saying our segues are usually amazing.
Good. But we just want to touch on AEW a little bit today because we didn't talk about it. Because we didn't have a show last week. Of course, we didn't talk about.
Yep, you lost your battle with technology,
of course. Yeah,
did not have a show.
And just kind of see where I'm at with AEW.
Your weekly Dits AEW check-in to see what's going on.
How's it going, Dits? So we're 3 weeks in now. The first week coincided with our first new format episode, and I enjoyed it. It was good. It sucked me back in. Last week, not so much. I didn't enjoy last week, and I was like, it's happened already.
What have I done?
It's happened already. I've lost interest already. This week kind of redeemed itself. This week was okay. There was a lot more that I enjoyed this week than last week. Obviously, we had a couple of good matches like we talked about off air. Jungle Boy putting a great performance against, I forget, what's his name in AEW. I still want to call him Scott Dawson.
What's funny is I never really learned either of their names in NXT, and I still struggle with it now in AEW. I'm always just like, the Revival. And then it's like, oh, which one? And I'm like, the one who has hair, or like the bald one. Like, I don't, I'm so bad with, it took me but it also, in fairness, it took me a good 2.5 years to figure out which Young Buck was Nick and which one was Matt, because I had reversed them. And this is me loving New Japan, watching it every show, every single thing, and going to Ring of Honor and seeing the Young Bucks all the time. And I would still just be like, oh, great move by Nick, Matt. I'd be like, which one is it? And then I'd be like, you don't know either? Okay, let me go to my phone. Oh, it was Matt. I'm terrible with names.
I couldn't tell you which one was which.
Of course, because you're a horrible person.
Sorry,
but good match. Good match. Handcuff thing was.
Yes, the handcuff thing was a bit. Why would they voluntarily handcuff themselves to Luchasaurus? I don't know why. Why did you just say they're banned from ringside? Done.
Problem solved.
But no.
You guys can come out, but you got to be handcuffed to each other. It'd be like, so why don't we just stay in the back?
I don't know if this is an AEW thing, but I feel that they're trying to do a lot of fresh things that you don't really see. I've never seen that before. They're kind of throwing so much at the wall and just seeing to try see what sticks.
But you know what?
It's not a bad thing.
Fair enough. Try it, and then when you get to the back, be like, "Hey, that handcuff thing." They're like, "Yeah." You're like, "It was terrible. We're not going to do it again."
Yeah. Such as trying to update Cody Rhodes' entrance music and making it very, very bad.
Yeah,
that's a thing. Why?
It's not good.
It was annoying as well because I knew Snoop Dogg was on AEW. I think it was the week before I actually started watching. I was in the car and I was listening to the theme. Downstate, is that right? Downstate who did the theme, Kingdom.
I don't know.
Great theme song. One of my favorite theme songs of wrestling theme songs. And then I watched AEW, and I think it was when he was against Pete Avalon. So that was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And he came out to that Snoop Dogg horrendousness. I was like, what has happened here? Why would you? And then it doesn't even transition nicely back into the old part of the theme. It's just like,
nope, it's a full thing.
This is terrible. At least Sasha Banks had a nice little Snoop Dogg remix, but Cody Rhodes, not so much.
Yeah, I
just had to mention that because it pains me.
When he did his entrance this week, I think I had changed the channel to go do something else. I didn't come back in time, and I came back and he was in the ring. But I heard, and I was like, "Oh, I'm glad to see that stupid theme is still around."
It can't stay.
And I was
surely not.
No, I think they're only doing it because of there's a show on TNT, kind of like a. Oh, like kind of like a Britain's Got Talent thing.
Yes.
And Cody's a judge and Snoop's a judge, and I think they're trying to cross promote it, and so that's why Snoop was on, and that's why they're doing the song, and so I'm hoping this won't last past February, just because they're really trying to, and they're showing a ton of commercials for that show. I forget what it's called, but I'm thinking they're just trying to go hard because Snoop and Cody are both judges on it. So maybe once that like dies down a bit, we won't have to see it because, yeah, or hear it, I should say, because it's not good. I don't. Me no likey at all.
No likey. But that wasn't the case with AEW for me this week. I did enjoy it. And obviously I haven't really seen Moxley that much. I'm really like his little promo that he had, like I think it was like midway through the show. So simple, so effective, achieved exactly what it meant to achieve, and he just seems a lot more relaxed, at ease, at home, and it's not. It's very refreshing because in my head I've still got Dean Ambrose. That's what's still fresh in my mind. So whenever I see Jon Moxley do anything, there was a couple of promos he did back when I actually originally started watching AEW, not like the 7,000th attempt. That blew my mind when he did it.
AEW impression number 7,046.
100th first impression. We will probably get to that point at some point. But yeah, even that was blowing my mind because this is a Dean Ambrose that I hadn't seen before. And even if this was just like a 2-minute promo, like the gloves are off. He was on about having sex in the morning because it kicks off the day right. I was like, there you go. Fair enough.
Why not?
Relatable. So
and every
man. Yeah, I like what I see. There's a lot of stuff in AEW that I do like what I see, and there's quite a bit as well that I don't. So I wouldn't say it's fully mixed. It's more on the positive side, but it kind of bounces. But then so does WWE. So
true. But I think that's fair. And I also think that's encouraging because, again, you are not we've said it before on this show, like the type of wrestling background in terms of our fandom that you and I come from are very different. And even what we gravitate towards, they're different. So the fact that you and I are both enjoying the same thing, and ironically, like enjoying the same parts. I think the same thing. Like AEW, I watch it every week and I like it, but I will agree there's bad that comes with the good. But I think there's been more good than there has been bad. But again, it could be easy for you to not feel that way because you are indoctrinated into that WWE style in terms of the presentation or the pacing or the matches. So it could be very easy for you to be like, this isn't my cup of tea, like I'm out. But the fact that they're able to do things in your eyes that are like, oh, this is cool, or this is fun, or this will keep bringing me back, I think that's a positive and that's a win. And I'm very excited and encouraged that you have continued to watch and have not fallen off the wagon here, which could have been very easy for you to do.
We'll see how things go. There's a lot of good stuff coming up.
There's a lot of good stuff.
So I will be sticking around just out of curiosity at the very least. But
I'm happy to hear it.
But yeah, I'm in.
All in.
I'm all in. Ha.
Play.
Ha. Ha. Now I'm very aware.
Look at us.
Look at us. I'm very aware of the time and tangent heavy as is always the case. If you are followers of the DOWPOD, that's what we do. So we're gonna get into the last bit and then finish off with the moan. So this part probably won't be as long as it maybe would have, but we can always revisit. Because it hasn't happened yet, and we're still a couple of months away. WrestleMania.
This is true.
Wishlist. And we'll to get it to fit in a decent amount of time. Your top 3, or just 3, in fact, just 3 things that you would like to see at this year's WrestleMania.
One of them I'm very torn with because I really, really, really want Kevin Owens to beat Reigns at the Rumble. But my number one wish list thing, I want Roman Reigns to come out of WrestleMania as champion because I want him to continue through all of 2021 as champion. I want him to have a long and sustained reign, no pun intended, for his character and for that belt. So that way, whoever it is that takes the belt from him at, I'm thinking next year's WrestleMania would be a very, 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 very big moment. We haven't had a lot of big moments in WWE, things that we could just point to and be like, dude, you remember that? Like, it was so epic, and I would like that to be the thing. It was supposed to be, the last one of this size was supposed to be Brock beat Taker, and it was like, okay, whoever beats Brock is going to be the next king, and they wanted it to be Roman, and it just the passing of the torch did not work. So I hope Roman comes out of Mania as champion, and that continues throughout the rest of 2021. That is my number one.
Ooh. Oh, should we alternate? Mine is.
Oh yeah, that's all.
My first one is very easy, and it will last all of 4 seconds. I want a pirate ship.
I should have known.
That's all I want. I just want a pirate ship.
That's very simple.
It's very simple, but I think it would add a lot to the show. It could actually add a lot to the show because people can jump off pirate ships. Cannons. Possible.
Interesting.
Possible appearance from Kairi Sane. You never know.
Oh, that would be insane. Oh, interesting.
Was that a pun you just used?
A little bit. Yeah, I did. Yeah, a little bit.
I want a pirate ship.
Little bit. That's very simple. Yeah. I want a ladder match. That's my number 2. Whether it's for some sort of triple threat for the tag team titles, whether it's a multi-man intercontinental title ladder match, I don't care. I want belts suspended above the ring. I want ladders. I'm a very big fan of ladder matches, and I've liked over the years where there have been big ladder matches to kick off WrestleMania or start WrestleMania. I'm a sucker for that. It's something that I like a lot, and even if the match sucks, at the very least, it just piques my interest a little bit. I want a ladder match. I prefer, especially the way things have gone, give me a tag team title ladder match, and I want to see Montez Ford do something nuts off of the ladder. Like, he gets so much air when he jumps and splashes out of the turnbuckle. Give me that off of a ladder onto a sea of people. I don't care if they hold each other and stare at him for a minute and a half while he gets his feet set. I don't care. Give me a Montez Ford ladder spot at WrestleMania. I want that.
I'll take that. Again, this is more. It's not the matches. It's kind of WrestleMania as a whole. I want timings that make sense. I know it's over 2 nights, but I want timings that make sense. Okay. There's that temptation from WWE, despite the fact that it's 2 nights, to have these things go 4 or 5 hours. You don't need to do that now. You have 2 nights to play with.
Yeah, that's true.
3 hours each night. That's all it has to be. It doesn't have to be the 75,000 hours that was WrestleMania 35 or whatever it was.
God.
It's frightening how long these things can go. Have each night go 3 hours. It'll keep me interested throughout the show. It'll keep everybody else interested throughout the show. I won't be, especially for night 1. I don't want to be watching night 1, get to hour 6, and go, I've got another 6 hours tomorrow. You know what I mean? I wish I could remember how long it went last year, because I can't remember how long each night went. But it wasn't short.
No, I think it was like 4 hours night 1 and 5 hours night 2. It was collectively close to between like 9 and 10. Which is outrageous. It was a lot.
There's no fans, and that was in the Performance Center as well. Like, it doesn't need to be that long. I know this is they're saying it's going to be in front of a crowd of some capacity, but it still doesn't have to go so long. And it also makes sense as well from the COVID side of things. And it's annoying having to bring up COVID
1,000%.
all the time, but
I know.
It is something that haunts us every single day. Have less contact between people. 3 hours, much preferred over 6 hours in a confined space. I don't know how they're going to manage it. I don't know what's going to go on. But yeah, 3 hours, night 1, 3 hours, night 2. If they overrun, they overrun. It's their, it's on the WWE network. It's their thing, whatever. But
there you go.
Keep it at 3 hours. Like us, keep this at an hour, but we're going to go over an hour.
By a little bit, yeah.
It's my
over
network,
7 hours. Fair enough. The Dits on Wrestling Network. That's also on my wish list, but I don't think it realistically will happen, so I'm not even going to wish for it. I think we're going to get 2 long-ass nights, and it's going to be exhausting, so I'm not even going to bother wishing for it. So my third wish, I want to see, last year we got to see Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair fight for the NXT Women's title.
Very good match.
Very good match at WrestleMania. The current NXT Women's Champion is Io Shirai. She is one of my favorite wrestlers in the world. She is one of the top 10 wrestlers in the world, in my opinion. I want to see Io Shirai wrestle at WrestleMania and defend her title, and I want to see her walk out of WrestleMania as NXT Women's Champion. This is purely just a selfish thing, even though I think WWE is not the best wrestling company in the world by any means. I fully recognize the gravitas of WrestleMania and being the grandest stage of them all. I would like her to be able to be on that stage and come away with a victory because she's fantastic and she deserves it.
Imagine if it was against Kyrie.
Oh boy. Imagine if they wrestled on a pirate ship.
See, we're booking some stuff right now. We're booking some stuff
gracious.
right now.
Well, we are great bookers. If those of you need to go back and check out that fantasy book series that we did, it was immaculate.
It was very good. It was tiring, but
it was actually good. And I'm not saying that jokingly. It may sound sarcastic. No, it was very good. And yeah, we were exhausted booking. Oh, I'm tired thinking about it.
Promo. Match 2.
It was very tired.
It was very rewarding, though. We had some great ideas. So if you want to know how to book a great wrestling show with the roster that WWE has right now, look no further.
I wasn't completely spot on, but the Roman Reigns character that exists right now was eerily similar in many facets to the Roman Reigns that I booked months before he returned.
But we know that Vince listens to the show and now watches the show.
That's true. He tries to deny it, though, but we're like, come on, Vinny. You know you watch and listen.
Let's put it this way. When I look at this tomorrow on Tuesday and I have 2 views, I know one of them is mine because I'd like to see if it uploaded fine. And I know that second one is Vinnie Mac. I know.
When you check those demographic listens, you're gonna see, 1 England, and then you're gonna see that number 2 Stamford, Connecticut. You're gonna,
and the age will be up there as well. 60 plus or whatever that demographic is. He's there.
And then number 3 is wherever Cody Rhodes lives. So Atlanta, I think. Yeah, that's number 3. He's a big fan of the show. Jerry Springer is the 4th. I don't know where he lives. Yeah, that's the other. And then that guy from Sweden.
The guy from Sweden, yes. Our one fan from Sweden. And then we also, we expanded into India as well at one point, which was nice.
We're global.
We're spreading. We're spreading slowly.
Virus. Too soon. I shouldn't say virus.
Ooh. Now we're not spreading anymore. You've upset everybody.
Sorry. Cooled. Cold chase.
Yeah.
Number 3 for you.
Number 3. Yeah, of course. Yeah, because we're doing a podcast right now. Ooh.
Look at us.
I would. I know. You did. Did we have Braun and Goldberg main event night 1 and Brock and Drew main event night 2?
Yes.
I think one of the nights, doesn't matter which one, because they're kind of both that. I know it's WrestleMania, but either way, you're the main event of WrestleMania, whichever way you look at it. It would be nice to get a women's match highlighting one of those 2 nights, because there are maybe not the Raw Women's title, because I don't think you can repair the Raw Women's title between now and Mania to have something that's worthy of main eventing the show.
Yeah.
However, because of how good Sasha Banks is at the moment, I know they probably wouldn't go with Carmella and Sasha as the main event of WrestleMania, but you could. How often did we all kind of go? Because maybe they did it too soon, but it's worked out pretty well. How many times did we go? We wanted Sasha and Bayley to headline WrestleMania, or just have a match at WrestleMania this year. Like, they could easily go back to that Bayley feud.
Oh yeah, they could
quite easily.
1000%. I'd take it.
Like the story's already there, so it's not going to take that much groundwork. So I'm going to say that Sasha Bayley headline one of those nights at WrestleMania, and hopefully create the same magic that they did at TakeOver Brooklyn. Because imagine that match on the WrestleMania stage. Ooh.
It'd be amazing. I'd take that.
But we will revisit the WrestleMania wish list as we get closer to the show. But before we do sign off, we've got a bit of a moan.
I'm very disappointed.
It's frustrating again. Frustrated with WWE. Funny old thing. I like to be positive when it comes to wrestling, but you can't always be positive with everything that you see. And this is one of those things. To be fair, this isn't actually to do with the product, so I guess it doesn't really count. This is more behind the scenes. But before we started recording the show, I was scrolling through Twitter and I found out 3 nuggets of information about, well, last night's Rumble. Natalya is entering at number 30 in the Women's Rumble, and Edge and Randy Orton are entering 2 and 1, respectively, in the Men's Rumble. Why do we need to know that? Why do you need to take... It was annoying enough knowing that Edge was going to be in this Rumble anyway. I didn't know what stage he was at his rehab of his injury he got at Backlash last year. Could a little part of me think, oh, Edge might come back? Yeah, sure. But it would have still been a pretty damn cool moment to see Edge come out, even if there's no fans. Like, I would still get the goosebumps. I watched the Rumble from last year, 2-3 days ago. Goosebumps every time. I talk about it, goosebumps every time. Goosebumps right now. They've taken away that little surprise. I get that they're maybe trying to hype it up and they need to go, well, look, Edge is in this. Must see. I get that side of things. I get the business side of things. But it's still, why not have that as a surprise? But to then reveal where Edge is going to place in the Rumble match, and to say that he's placing face-to-face with somebody who he had probably one of the hottest rivalries of last year with, why can't that be a surprise? You said it yourself before we press record. Randy Orton comes out, like, you don't know what's going to happen. He's got a running storyline with The Fiend. You know, maybe Alexa comes out. Who knows? And then Edge, and then you think you know me. Like, you're like, oh my God, here we go. That's gone. That's taken away from us. It's gone. And to a lesser extent, on SmackDown, you also had Braun Strowman return from his suspension. You know, I don't know if he had an injury or whatever. But he came back. Why have it? Like, you could have had, I don't know, Big E stand strong at the end of SmackDown. You could have had Daniel Bryan stand strong. Cesaro. All of that works. Braun Strowman works. But why not keep him as a surprise? Because as much, I mean, we're not the biggest Braun Strowman fans.
No, I think he's awful.
But
no disrespect, I apologize if that seemed offensive.
But you're not sorry. But if he was,
well, because he tries hard. I'm not trying to be like. I think his deficiencies are not due to him. I think the way he's been booked and built has been terrible. Yes. He himself is fine.
Yes. If he came out of the Rumble and say the ring was packed, and he comes out, you hear that, and there out he comes, out he comes.
How does he come out?
He does do that.
It's so much better on video.
I've relegated him to caveman status at this point. But you go, oh shit, here we go. He's gonna clean house. Like, how many eliminations is he gonna get? Here we go. Again, like, I guess you can still kind of get that because you don't know where he's placing in the Rumble. Funny old thing, I'm shocked that WWE haven't told us. But like, it still would have been a bigger shock had we not seen him on SmackDown. And it's little things like that that are just really frustrating. I don't know why they need to do it. I don't give a crap that WWE Backstage is back. It's a terrible show. I've watched it twice, didn't enjoy it. Like, it's just pointless. What? Let's hype up the return of this show that failed 6 months ago by revealing Rumble picks, spots, whatever you want to call them. Nah, pass. Not happy, Anthony.
Neither am I. I don't like any reveals like that. I hate spoilers. But again, I understand the reasoning behind it. And if you wanted to announce that Edge was going to be in the Rumble, that's fine. I'm against that, but that's fine. But again, that moment, Randy Orton comes out number 1. Okay, like, that's a big moment. to see like who the first two entrants are. Or I think about when Roman was first and he eliminated number 2 and then he was waiting for number 3 and it was AJ. Like those are big moments. And just think of how deflating that would have been if WWE tweeted out on the Saturday, on the day before, like, super excited to announce that this Rumble will be phenomenal. AJ Styles debuts in the Royal Rumble. You'd be like, what? Why would you tell us that? And I don't, literally, like, I said it earlier and you mentioned it now, just that moment, Randy would have come out and then he would have been like waiting in the ring and you think you know me. I would have been like, oh, like, again, that's a cool, poppable moment. And that moment still would have been great, even though that we knew Edge was going to be in it. But it would have been even better if we knew nothing. And I just don't know why. Why do you have to do that? Especially like you build that anticipation for the Rumble. Everybody knows like it's coming at some point in the night. And I always remember like watching it. And this isn't just to say like, oh, because you know, like when I liked it, it was better type of thing. But the Rumble would start. The pay-per-view, and they'd make an announcement that like, oh, you know, and now like the men's Royal Rumble, and you'd be sitting there waiting like, oh man, I wonder who number 1 is going to be. Oh man, I wonder who number 2 is going to be. Here we go. That would have been such an awesome start. If Randy Orton came out, you'd be like, oh, Randy Orton's number 1? Wow. And then exactly to your point, like, oh, is Bray Wyatt going to come out as number 2? Is Alexa going to do something? Like, what's going to... And then as you're thinking that, because, again, that feud is what is in the forefront of your mind. No. Edge's music hits, and we get Edge that comes out. It would have been great. And it would have been even better if we didn't even know that Edge was coming into the Rumble. But I get that. I like this promo. I understand the reasoning behind it. But, yeah, I just don't... I don't like the whole spoiler aspect of... like why WWE does those things. That would be you and I talked about it off air. Jon Moxley came back to New Japan today. Yeah. For those of you who haven't watched, spoilers, I apologize. New Japan wasn't out there tweeting like, oh, you know, like, Jon Moxley comes back tomorrow, or like, oh, rumor is like Jon Moxley just landed in Japan. No, they're not doing any of that. Like, why do you have to do that's like a TV show being like, on next week's episode, this main character dies. You'd be like, what? Why would you tell me that? I don't know why. And I think, I said it off air, I think it's because they don't think they will have enough natural and organic eyes on the product, so they're trying to give away things to entice people to come and watch, to be like, well, Edge is going to be in it, and oh, look how it's going to start, Edge and Randy Orton, because they don't think they're going to have enough natural people watching it naturally and organically to then be surprised. So I think they're trying to bait people and entice them to come onto the show, which again, I understand, but that's because your product is booked terribly. And it's just, why do that? Think of how, dude, you and I would have been DMing tomorrow night being like, dude, Orton and Edge are number 1 and 2. Or if things would have happened like last year, I would have been 5 minutes ahead of you. And I'd be like, yo, you saw Edge come out? And you'd be like, what? I'm not there yet.
Excuse me. Excuse me.
I'll never forget that.
Gutted.
You
must be happy,
so
right?
Bad.
Why would I be happy? Drew? Sorry.
Well, Drew McIntyre on the Rumble.
Excuse me?
I'm sorry. The only thing close to that, my dad once was watching. I know it's a tangent, but it's a very quick one. My dad was watching. I forget what major for golf, and I didn't know it was on tape delay. So I was in my room. And they were talking about Tiger Woods and how he'd won, and they were doing the awards presentation. And so I came downstairs to go to the kitchen to get a drink. And as I came back, I went to the living room, and I saw him watching it. But I didn't know he was watching it, like, on tape delay. I thought he was watching, like, highlights. And so I was like, oh, man, it's pretty awesome that Tiger won, right? And I kept walking, and so he's behind me, and all I hear is, oh, son of a bitch, Anthony. And I was just like, what? He was like, it's on tape delay. I had no idea that he won. And I was like, oh my God. Like, and as a person who hates spoilers, that has always stuck with me. I felt so bad. And I felt that same way with you. It's the first thing I thought of. You called it and you loved Drew. I was like, oh my God, I got to text Dits. And then, excuse me? Why would I be happy?
Crushed.
I still feel so bad.
Crushed.
I'm so sorry.
the thing is, I'm in a good. Here's a good little plug actually. It's not really a plug because it's already happened. It happened yesterday. I last night I streamed. I did a live watch along of the Rumble on Twitch, so I will be watching it live.
There you go.
So I won't have that issue this week. He says.
I'm not going to say anything. Still won't say anything.
I'm
going
to
wait till next year.
I will message you.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm going to wait till Wednesday to say anything. Just to be super duper extra safe.
Just be safe, yeah. Stay off social media. Nothing until Wednesday. Because you never know.
Not from me.
Because you never know. You're not going to get spoilers on the show about the Rumble today if you haven't seen it. Don't worry about that.
You know what I might do to you? I might try to play it like I am ahead of you and like DM you things that haven't happened. Just be like, yo, I can't believe like Shawn Michaels just entered. What? Like just little things like that.
I'd be in the chat of like on the stream. I'd be like, oh my god, like my reactions. Oh. And I'm like, why are you reacting? Do you not hear? Do you not hear? Brock Lesnar.
Shawn Michaels is about to come in. I got like
Brock Lesnar's come back and he's got eliminated by Santino Marella. Oh my god.
Yeah, and he rode in on a dragon. It's amazing. Yeah, I'm gonna watch the stream and then send you things like that and see, and we'll go from there.
I can't wait, or I couldn't wait on Saturday.
Right, and I because I sent it to you, day before because today's Monday right now. Space time continuum.
We just wanted a little bit of a moan about the Rumble.
It's really disappointing, and I know that may seem small or it may seem stupid. I was really upset by that.
Yeah.
Like legitimately, like not even just like I want something to complain about. You and I both saw it at the same time, like right before we entered the video here to do the pod, and we were just both gutted and deflated by it. That just sucks. Like, why tell us that? Why? I would love to hear. I mean, I'd love to be a fly on the wall for so many conversations in WWE, but I'd love to hear the reason of like the actual business decision why that was announced. Because I get the whole number 30 for the women's Rumble, even though it's between Natty and Tamina, who nobody could care less about and who they don't matter whatsoever. But at least that is like, oh, we're going to have a match for the number 30 spot. Like, okay, all right. But why? Man, just... It's
raw. It's raw.
Yeah.
We only found out a few hours ago.
Yeah.
It's fresh. It's fresh frustration. That's what it is.
Oh, I'm disappointed.
But yeah, we went 17 minutes over the hour that I allotted at the start of the show, but it's fine. We'll get better. We've gone backwards, but we'll get better.
Mm-hmm. It'll happen. It'll work. One of these weeks.
It's the tangents. But we wouldn't be the DOWPOD without tangents, so...
Gotta stay true to who we are.
True to who we are, exactly.
My boy. Bring my body back to my father, Harry.
Not a billion. Now you do, I believe, other stuff other than this podcast, don't you?
Yeah, I paint.
And you stream it. I stream me painting.
I stream the paints. I did that Finn Balor behind you.
Lovely.
That's an original Anthony.
See that one. Yes, there it is.
Yeah, that one. Yeah. Yep, that's an original Anthony. Yep, that's me. And I also dance.
Oh.
Interpretively. A lot of stuff that's my style of dance isn't for everyone. It's a lot of expressionism in how capitalist and socialist governments mix, and what my dance is a play on both forms of government and how the two would coalesce, and how they're more similar than they are different, but yet how they're also very different. Yeah, it's pretty progressive, and part of like the avant-garde. It's like it's pretty deep. But no, yeah, I in addition to being a regular co-host here on the DOWPOD,
a dancer.
Yep. And a dancer and a painter, an artist, and a hero, and a songbird of my generation. All those things. I also host my own podcast called Disguise Coverage, part of the Cover One Sports Network. It's a Buffalo Bills podcast, the Buffalo Bills of the NFL, and it's fantastic and it's awesome, and I'm extremely proud of it and the growth and success that it has had. And so feel free to check that out. It's on any and every podcasting platform. It's also on YouTube. Again, it's called Disguise Coverage. And you can find me, Anthony, on the old Twitter at pro__ant. That's pro 2 ANT. Give me a follow, or Bags of Gold, or Bags of Adamantium, or Vibranium, any of those minerals. I'll also take any one of the Deathly Hallows. I'd also take Cedric Diggory's Body, which is up there, and we talked about that earlier. So feel free to give me any of those things. And as always, catch me here every week dancing on the DOWPOD.
In video form.
In video form now. Well, I mean,
maybe.
As of right now,
maybe.
Yeah, but fingers crossed.
If you're watching this right now, then success. If you're just listening, then I'm a little bit sad.
I love for the people who are going to be listening and be like on YouTube trying to find it, and then like getting only the audio and being like,
it didn't happen. He lost again. The
didn't.
losing streak goes on.
It's
It's a bad one. I'm hoping I'm due a win.
Everybody's bound to get one eventually.
Eventually.
Or not.
Eventually. If this works, it's my WrestleMania moment.
It would be a big one. You finally, getting over the hump, and oh boy.
Huge. This is where the file size is like 7,000 gig. Wouldn't surprise me.
Wouldn't surprise
me. But I guess I've got some plugs. Not many. I remember my plugs used to take forever. I don't really do lengthy plugs anymore. So, of course, this podcast is part of the Project Dits podcast network, which you can find on all podcasting applications, directories, whatever. Wherever you listen to podcasts, we're on there. So we got us. We've got the Hallway Wrestling Pod. We got the Worst Wrestling Pod. So that covers your wrestling fandom. And we also have a football podcast.
He means soccer.
Football
for those of you.
Podcast, plus added time, with the hosts Nathan and Dara. They are absolutely killing it. They are. I don't really care about revealing stats and stuff like that. I like to be real. I like to let people kind of peek behind the curtain. They're the number one show on the network ahead of me, and it pains me. But it's a kudos to them. They are absolutely smashing it. They are absolutely killing it. They're really, really good show, and everybody else is fantastic as well. So go and check out everybody in the network. And I'm also a Twitch streamer, a Twitch affiliate. So you can head over to twitch.tv/Project Dits and catch me on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Fridays at the moment, where I'll be streaming either Lego games, Final Fantasy games, or anything in between. It's all variety. And once a month, now that I know this potentially works, we'll be doing a live DOWPOD episode on Twitch as well. So take a note of that address, because you're going to need it in a few weeks' time. And finally, we do push the Discord.
Yes!
It is actually called that. If you open up the Discord, it is called Project Discord. Which you're not in. Get your ass in the server.
I don't even know what Discord is. I just know you talk about it.
Just join.
I don't even know what it is. It's like a chat.
It's kind of like a forum.
Oh, okay.
But it's better than Twitter, because I have who I want in there rather than people that annoy me.
Oh,
so
fair.
Yeah, it's good. We've got a very very good community in there so far. It's building every single day, actually, to be honest. So you can get on.
It's got a very catchy name.
Project Discord.
Whoever came up with that is probably really handsome and really smart. I don't know who did it, but he's probably great.
It's not that guy.
No, you're way off. A little up more. Up. You're going up.
There we go. It's not that guy. So you can find out everything about the podcast on the network there. When the episode drops, all the links go in there, and the plugs of what's coming up. All my Twitch information is on there when I'm streaming, all the schedules, blah, blah, blah. But then there's also places you can hang, talk wrestling, talk football, talk whatever the hell you want. It's a safe haven for positive vibes and good things. So the link is in the description. So if you want to join, you have an open invitation. As a listener of this show, or a watcher of this show now, we extend that invite to you. But that's it. That's my plugs. So next week, fingers crossed, we are going to be in video form again, if we did make it into video form this week. Fingers crossed. And naturally, there will be talk about the Rumble. It won't be a review. We've already made that clear. We're not doing any reviews on this show anymore. But we will touch on it slightly, just because somebody will have won a big match, and it'd be nice to talk about it. But apart from that, we don't really know what's coming up on the show next week. It's all a surprise. Apart from Dits' question of the week.
Which is your question next week.
It's my question. My question next week. But apart from that, I mean, as is tradition, has been for, a good number of months now. And I'm sure you've prepared something incredibly meaningful and insightful and inspirational now that we're in video and people, can see your calm demeanor whilst delivering such a speech. You get to say the goodbye message on the way out. So, Anthony, I hand it over to you.
Thank you. I prepared this. Put my glasses on to make sure I can see the notes that I've written here. Again, I don't like to get too deep, but I am a big fan of haikus and of 17th century poetry. So this and a particular passage inspired me for this episode. Goodbye.